Good morning, everyone. Today I thought I'd touch upon the benefits of TV as a babysitter. Now, interestingly, with my daughter now being 3, I have to be quite mindful of what I'm allowing her to see on TV. When she was younger, I would watch Grimm or Game of Thrones and not really think twice. Uh, do not know what was going into her subconscious at the time. However, I'm sure I'll deal with that if and when it ever arises. However, now, because she's mimicking things and singing along and participating, I am carefully choosing what she sees on the TV. Because I know, as any parent does, there are times when you just need to sit them down and in front of the TV, something to eat, just so that you can maybe go to the toilet in peace or take a phone call in peace. So we do use it. The question is, do you use it too much? And what is your child watching on TV? I've started looking at her shows and sort of giving them a personal rating. I really like it when they're educational. I like it when they enjoy some singing and some music in there. And also, what else do I like in these TV shows that she watches? As long as it's not too silly or ridiculous. I like using the imagination, but I don't like it when it's a bit far-fetched. For example, the Go-Getters. It's 3 superheroes who are looked after by a boss or a manager, which is a unicorn. I have no problem with that. And they go off to different parts of the world and have a look. And they learn 3 things about that part of the world. However, what I have a problem is that I'm not even sure what these creatures all are, and their enemy, the Grandmaster Grimm, I'm not too sure what he is, and he's got a couple of robots, I assume, the Grimbots, and it's always fortunate that he's doing his bad thing wherever the Go-Getters have decided to get to. So I'm a bit dubious on that show, even though it does have some educational qualities. I'm a big fan of Jet Propulsion because in that show she's learning all about the solar system, which I really like, and something I haven't yet touched upon with her. And they have singing in it, and it is using the imagination because they do go in their car, which turns into a rocket to go out of space. It's also got some realistic parts in that one of the little girls is too young and is not allowed out of her front yard. And she respects that rule made by her parents, and so her friends who go off to outer space, they always bring back the information for her, which I think is very kind. So I do like that show. And another show I'm super fond of is The Octonauts. I have found by watching this show, I've learnt a lot myself. Their information is very factual. So the researchers of that show are definitely on top of things, and they learn a lot of things. I like it because there's not really any bad guys per se. They do come across different situations, but they are just out to help. And so it does definitely teach about being helpful towards others and being compassionate towards all creatures. So I really do like the Octonauts, even though that it is a little far-fetched with them being a panda and a penguin, and they're all the same size and all that kind of thing. However, it's a bit of fun. There's not a lot of singing in there. Um, but they do have different accents for some of the different creatures, and I'm sure one of them is meant to be Australian, which does quite make it fun. I also like Play School. It's got a lot of craft things in it, and she doesn't get exposed to a lot of that, so sometimes we do sit down afterwards and do some craft things that we've learnt. I'm not a big fan of Sesame Street. There are some things in there that I think are a bit American orientated, which is not that crash hot for me, I feel. However, and she doesn't get that excited by it either, unfortunately. So it's on just before Play School, and she usually gets bored and walks away from the TV at that point. So that's a couple of shows that I do like that she's watching that are educational. She also does watch a lot of David Attenborough, and that's because she loves animals. And I do be careful though with it because it does show the circle of life, and a lot of animals do get shown to eat other animals and that kind of thing. But that is realism, and I just need to explain to her anything that she's not very sure of. Now, just a point of care, you do need to be careful with what your children watch. as explained, it's turned out that my sister's son, my nephew, recently watched a YouTube show on a neighbour's iPad that had no parental restrictions set up. And this YouTube show that he watched was an R18 one, and it has freaked him out. So she now has to deal with the consequences of that. So I definitely recommend that you put parental restrictions on any technology that your children are accessing, as well as being mindful of the shows you're allowing them to watch on TV. So that's just my tips for today, how to have a decent TV show as a babysitter for your children if you do need to do that, and otherwise just be careful in what they are witnessing. Thanks very much for joining me, and I will chat again tomorrow. Bye.